What up, guys? Rocky Mountain Retreat is live and ready for you to register. 7 hours of jiu-jitsu, mindset training, Colorado Rocky Mountain adventure in there as well. Head over to the website, elliottmarshall.com. Click on programs, click on retreats. Rocky Mountain Retreat is right there for you to grab. Go, click on it. First 200 people. Use the code EARLYROCKY, all capitals, and you will get $200 off on your Rocky Mountain Retreat, all focusing jiu-jitsu-wise on attacking from the open guard position. So if you're a jiu-jitsu person, we are going to attack from the open guard, bottom open guard, the most difficult position, no gi. February 17th to the 19th. Use code EARLYROCKY. Let's go. What's up, guys? This is former UFC fighter Elliot Marshall, and you are listening to The Blueprint. I believe that there's a blueprint of how the most successful people structure their lives. They don't all do it the same. They don't all do the same things. And on this podcast, you're going to hear inspirations, motivations, and stories about how they go through their life. These stories will give you clues and tricks of exactly how you can discover your passion, find your power, and then go give your purpose to the world. Thank you so much for listening. Let's jump into this week's episode. Yo, we got another UFC champ in this episode. UFC Welterweight champ of the world, Serra. I don't need to say anymore. The first story he tells about his first fight after graduating high school, we're going to just stop right there. I don't want to ruin it for you. I don't want to ruin it for you at all. So here we go. Serra, former welterweight champ of the world. Let's go. Matt, what's up, man? How are you?
Elliot, good to see you, man. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. Thanks for taking time, man. I know you're a busy guy, you know?
Yeah. Well, am I really, though? I am. This is like my retired life. I think we pretty much have a similar life. You still run your school, yes?
No, I don't even run the schools. I teach.
Oh, you teach?
I teach. You have a school?
I do this. You don't have a school?
We have 7. Yeah, I have 7.
Okay. So yeah. When I said you have a school, you said you teach.
But I don't run it.
Oh, what do you mean?
No way. I just go teach at the school every day. But we have a whole team of people that run the school. I don't fucking do that shit. I'm terrible at it.
You know what's great with that? And I say that all the time, man. It's not that I'm terrible at being behind a desk. Nobody's gonna be paying. It's not good when I'm behind a desk. Whether it's I have too much of a soft heart, like a soft spot, and I can't be behind the desk because it's not gonna be good for business. And it's not. People love it, but it's not. I got a family to feed. You know what I mean? So I gotta.
Yeah, man.
You know, I downgraded. I did the opposite of what you did. Like, I'm sure you started with one. Are you still?
It's me and Amal. We own them both.
Yeah, okay.
It's the two of us. Yeah, it's the two of us doing the. Yeah.
For people that don't know, Amal is your instructor, right? Black belt instructor.
Yeah, Amal's my instructor.
And I know Amal for 30 years or whatever, since we're both blue belts and stuff. So I know me and Amal competed we went down to the 99 Pan Ams together and competed. And
Rio,
we have a long history, me and Amal. I really, even though I haven't seen him forever, I consider him a friend,
You guys started at Renzo's together. How did this journey start for you, Matt? Where did you go? I want to do jiu-jitsu.
Well, my story is, as like a typical, you got that high school toughest guy in the high school thing, the typical who's the toughest guy type of thing. I was pretty much that guy. Not that it's nothing to brag about. I'm just saying I was a tough kid, and I used to fight a lot. I used to scrap a lot, and I knew. But I was also not a dumb kid. Like, I knew school wasn't for me, but I also knew I see some of the older tough guys from the neighborhood and I see how they were ending up. And I knew I didn't want to be a loser. I didn't want to end up in jail or whatever else. So yeah, this is honest. So I'm like, I'm going to go the military route. Cause this was, mind you, I'm 48. So I was graduating from high school in 1992, a year before the first UFC. So, I set myself up where when I graduated, my parents signed something called, they put me in the delay entry program. So even though I wasn't 18, when I was 17, I was going to go to the Marines when I graduated. And I was going to go that route. I was thinking special forces. I was a gung-ho kid, you know? And then I ended up getting into a street fight. I was delivering pizzas. And long story short, this girlfriend at the time, her best friend, Maria, her older brother. And the guy was like a Long Island juice head. I mean, dude, if you look up, people think of like Long Island, there's certain part of people like me, like just good guys. And then there's then there's other guys that's almost like Jersey Shore-ish. Like it's almost like the fucking.
Yeah, this is what kills me about the Jersey Shore. It's not people from Jersey. That's all people from Long Island.
It could be. Well, I don't say all. I wouldn't say all. Oh. I would say it could be Staten Island. It could be a lot of different islands. But anyway, the thing is this, you know, the guy was a douchebag. Long story short, I got into an argument with the guy over the phone. He ended up coming down to my pizzeria with a couple of carloads of guys. My pizzeria boss got his nose broken. It was a one-on-one fight at first. And he ended up getting me like cheek to cheek like this. He was a strong guy. And I took his ear off, to be honest with you. And for people that do jiu-jitsu, this is something that should be pointed out. You know, keep it in the academy. You want to prove yourself, do it in a cage, do it in a ring. Don't try to learn your latest move you learned in class at the bar or something, because it really, and I know I don't want to sound like an old man with this, like it should really be for self-defense, but 100%, you know, you can lose a nose, you can lose an ear. I took this guy's ear off just like as fast as this. Look, that thing's off.
You just bit it. You just bit it off.
Yes, I did. He was, you know, the guy had to look at the devil in his mind, in his eyes. I mean, this is all bullshit. We squared up. They kept it even because I think he thought he was going to beat my ass. And they thought he was a little bit older, bigger. But then he got a hold of me. It's funny, Elliot, because before we knew what works in reality back in the day, all the kids now, they grow up with mixed martial arts. They know what's effective. When I was growing up, there was, you know, you don't know, you know, I did a season and a half of wrestling. When I would start my fights, I would start with, sometimes I would do a lot of Wing Chun with my father. So I would do a lot of trapping drills, and I have a wooden dummy in my garage. Dude, I would start with a chain punch and go right into like a double leg or something whenever I got into a situation. So I knew early on, well, I'll get to this later when I seen the tape of the Gracies, but anyway, when I hit this guy with a chain punch or a straight blast, they call it Jeet Kune Do. Dude, the guy just fucking took it and grabbed my neck. You know what I mean? I didn't know jiu-jitsu back then. So you do what these things tell you. So I bit him, you know, and you know, the guy was saying he was going to kill me and yada, yada. Anyway, long story short, even though I'm making it longer than it was, I wasn't able. The original charge was a felony for disfigurement. So the Marines, they didn't, even though the guy came looking for trouble.
For you.
That helped me out in the long run with the civil suit. That helped me out a lot. But they didn't accept me. And nowadays, maybe they would have. And it's funny because my little recruiter back then, he was a little short Georgian guy. He was a little shorter than me. And he goes, Matt, I got my superiors, Mr. Serra, but I'd be in a foxhole with you any day. He loved it. He was like, I'm like, he loved it. It was funny. I remember that like it was yesterday, and I was 17. So I was heartbroken because I didn't know what to do. Because I'm like, look, I'm not going to school. I'm not a student. What the fuck am I going to do? I can't do the civil. I told, well, later on, I had a sheriff's friend, and I was supposed to have a youthful offender because I was 17. That way, if you apply for jobs, you can legally say that you weren't in
no
trouble,
felony,
whatever.
Right.
But I ended up being Class A misdemeanor because I took that plea. So instead of taking the felony, the original charge was what's so odd? The original charge was a felony. They didn't take me because the original charge. I pleaded guilty to a Class A misdemeanor, youthful offender. But anytime a buddy of mine on the police department or something would put my name in a computer, I didn't tell him why. I go, look, could you see if there's anything on me? The next time I'd see it, they go, yo, you sick fuck. So it would come up. It would come up. So I knew me getting a civil service job would be a hard time too. So I was very, so sure enough, my father is a lifelong martial artist, and he showed me this thing. I'm sure you've seen it. Gracie in Action. Did you ever see those tapes?
Of course.
If not, of course you did. Okay, good. Well, you're kind of an old school guy like me.
Look, this is how I classify the OGs of the world. If you knew Renzo in Brazil, you're just fucking old. Okay. If you knew Renzo at the methadone clinic, right? If you were training at the methadone clinic or before, you're an OOG.
Oh, that's me then. I guess I'm an OOG.
Yeah, that's you. So I only knew him. I started my journey with Renzo at the methadone clinic. So I'm an OG.
At the methadone clinic. You were at the methadone clinic.
I was at the methadone clinic.
I know you a long time. I just never, that's where I was too. We were there, well, way before that, but that's great.
Yeah, you were there before that. So that's what I'm saying. You're OO. Amal's OO.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
I'm 42. I'll be 43 this year.
Dude,
I had to take the fucking elevator up with the fucking crackheads. Yeah. And the funniest part always was everyone's like, oh, why doesn't Renzo have a kids program when he was there? It's like, dude, you can't have a kids program there. It's literally crackheads and heroin addicts.
It was one kid. It was Gianni
Grippo, but he just took the adults program.
That's right. Magno. Yeah. Magno had him under his wing. If you remember Magno.
Yeah, I remember Magno. Yeah.
Magno's great, man. He's got a school in Queens now. I like to see everybody doing well. But anyway, so my father showed me that tape of the Gracies, and then in Black Belt magazine, there was no internet back then to really check. In Black Belt magazine, I saw a seminar with Horian and Royce Gracie in Waterbury, Connecticut. So I took that drive at 18 years old, and I fell in love with jiu-jitsu after that. And they were telling us in that seminar at this guy, Ron Kalowski, he was a Jeet Kune Do guy. It was a seminar at some like elementary school or something. And they were telling us about the UFC, the first UFC. They're like, look, like almost like if you know anybody that wants to try this thing. And back then they weren't sure how it was going to be, but they were throwing around different ideas with fucking alligators and moats and shit like that. You're like, I left that thing thinking I love this shit. But I also remember thinking, what is that blood sport thing they're talking about? That's never going to fucking happen. That's crazy. And sure enough, it did happen. And, fast forward, Craig Kukuk, who's Renzo Gracie's, who he was Renzo's American business partner back in the day, before the methadone clinic.
Before the methadone, yep.
Yes. And Craig Kukuk started teaching 1 day a week in Manhattan, and he was based in New Jersey. And he was taught by Horian, Royce, and them, and he was a good teacher, Craig Kukuk. He was good. Personality-wise and being a warm guy, friend, not the best. I mean, you never got close with the guy. He was very German, very just, whatever. So Renzo came over like 2 years later. So I was a blue belt under Craig when Renzo came over. But Renzo was I got so close with Renzo. So he was the opposite of Craig in every way almost. Like Craig was very, and I like this too, because he was very, if I look at some of the stuff that the Gracie brothers do now, like the kids, not the kids, Iron and they're great. First of all, Aaron, I'm sorry. They're great. I love that. I love that stuff. But a lot of it's reminiscent of stuff with Craig. Oh my God. Like I'm looking at stuff. I'm like, it's very, even if it's tweaked or it got better over the years, but Craig did make me very fundamentally strong. You know what I mean? And I really love some of the stuff that he did, even to this day. But then Renzo came over and was very innovative and very, the latest from Brazil. He was a big believer. Craig didn't even own a gi. He didn't give a fuck about a gi. He did the same with or without the gi, which is cool. But Renzo was big about the gi. He thought that the gi makes you better, and it had a lot of more benefits than just being able to strangle somebody with it. And he got me into that. Not even sporty wise, just
for real self-defense as well. Yeah.
For everything to get better. And I believe that to this day, and it's not even popular by most standards, because a lot of people like no gi. You can't take your gi off at my school until you get 4 stripes on your white belt. That's how much I believe in it. And that's not, and I can get more people that want to just do no gi. They have to earn their right to do no gi. Put your time in with the gi. And then by the time you get 4 stripes, it's going to be under a year, then we take the gi off. That way you develop that sensitivity.
Renzo says it best, right? Like if you can escape position with somebody grabbing the gi and pinning you down, then you're going to easily escape position without the gi. If you can, past the guard, when somebody can grab your gi, and like the no gi becomes easier. I'm agreeing with you. I'm a massive fan of you have to be good in the gi. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that, like, for example, that Gordon isn't good in the gi. Gordon's phenomenal in the gi.
I'm sure. I mean, it's not like he's going to put the gi on and suck, man. The guy's the best with, you know what I mean? I'm sure he's phenomenal with the gi. But the thing is, with the gi, there's more ways to win and more ways to lose. So to have the same success, it's going to be harder.
Like, it's impossible.
Not just for him. And like all the guys that are slaying without the gi, I think they could do well with the gi. But to have that, there's so many, just so many different. It's going to be harder with the gi because there's more ways to even close down
in a time frame. If I tangle you up, if I'm up an advantage and I tangle you up in 50-50 with the lapel and there's 2 minutes left, it's going to take you a couple minutes to get out of that, right? And if I don't want you to, then I'll just ride out this time. Where no gi, it just changes that because of the heel hook, because of the slipperiness, right? So you can't just like wrap the lapel around someone and stall the game out, and especially with the rule sets. Yeah,
I do like to teach my guys the mentality of the IBJJF point system because I like that. I like you get more points for the better position, so that way I don't want the mount to be a forgotten position and just get into leg entanglements that lead to good things. And I'm not shitting. Believe me. My school's got the latest in every fucking crab ride to Ashi to fucking.
You had Jason Rao, and Jason Rao was and he's
Jason Rao's phenomenal. Jason Rao is he opened up Vanguard Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and we are still very, very close. I love Jason Rao, and he's one of the best minds on the planet. He's phenomenal. He's almost like people don't even. He competes very well. But he's even better than that. I think he's world class. So I've only had my ass beat recently really badly by okay, not now because I'm older, but when I was 5-6 years ago, him and Gordon were the worst. Oh yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's a beautiful thing. God damn.
You wouldn't pick, like Jason doesn't look like a pussy, but you wouldn't pick him out of a lineup saying that's the most dangerous guy. That's what I love about jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You know what I mean? But so anyway, I love it all. And I still have that white belt mentality, especially with the stuff with the legs where I'm asking Jay Jay was my student, but I ask him things all the time. I'll send him a message, send me this out of the 50-50. I was having him help me with the hand assist method with getting out of the back. You shouldn't get to a point where you get your black belt, you're like, all right, I'm good. That's not the way it is. You know what I mean? There's always, because so many people are grappling, there's always new things. But I love jiu-jitsu. We could do a whole podcast. Forever. Yeah, sure. But, so when did you fight? When was it like, okay, so you met Renzo, you're with Renzo. Obviously Renzo's a scrapper, right? If Renzo's never been afraid of a fight in his life. Yeah. So when was it like, I want to do this fighting thing? You know what? I always planned on it. Like my dream when I first started training was like, man, I'm like, maybe one day I want to work where I can get a school, and then maybe I'll have a challenge match in the school or something. I was thinking like the Gracie in action things. Hey, don't get me wrong. I don't want no dojo storming. I'll fuck you up. I don't want no bullshit. I'm not saying it now. I'm saying it as a kid. I exceeded my dreams is what I'm telling you. That's what I was thinking when I was a kid. Like that could be my goal. And we upped it. But my first fight, Dan Murgliata, what's his name? Big Dan. Dan Murgliata. Yeah, I know Dan from a long time. He came down to Renzo school with some flyers, and he was like, look, I'm doing some shoot fighting at my school in 3 weeks, So my first taste of like a shoot fighting mixed martial arts type thing was that. I did a tough man contest earlier on. When I was 18. That's just boxing, though. That's just punching, right? That's just punching. I got to the semifinals. I knocked out 2 guys. And I never, by the way, with that, really quick, I'm going to just really quick. I went into the city with my buddy, Jim McCluskey. He was a professional boxer. And me and him we had a lot of scraps in the street. So we saw about that tough man contest. And it was at the Palladium in Manhattan. I think the Palladium's closed down now. It was a club. And, it had that guy with the beard, the guy who runs the tough man. The referee was Mr. T. Mr. T? Fuck yeah. Yeah, fuck yeah. He was the referee, of course. He was the referee. and it was 175 and up. So I'd never sparred a day in my life. I would just be a street fighter. I just, not to be like that, a street fighter. I never had a sparring match. I never put on gloves.
You never did a round. You never did a round.
Never did a round. So my buddy McCluskey goes, "Hey, Matt, see this? Stand like this sideways so you're less of a target." I'm like, okay. So that was my thing. And then I went in there, and the first guy I took out, they announced he was a Long Island guy too, I believe from Ronkonkoma or out east. And we were the smallest guys in there. So I think that's why they paired us up, because it was 175 and up. And I wasn't, I was probably just that, as an 18-year-old kid. So I knocked him. I stopped him. I got a videotape of it somewhere. It was on Entertainment Tonight, where I had him like up against the ropes. I stopped him with punches. It was fucking amazing. It was the first time I ever did anything like that, And then the second, but this, I'll tell you right now, to this day, it was the worst I ever got concussed, ever, when I got done with this thing. After that, I had to fight this tough Irish guy from Jersey, and that was rough, because that was like a back and forth, just like, and then again, I didn't really have technique, so I'm just fucking throwing, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what it must look like, but that was a tough one, but I won. I beat that guy. Then they put me in again, and dude, I shouldn't have went in there the third time. I was fucked up, and I lost to some Van Damme looking pretty boy, and he got knocked out the next one. He was like pushing me through. He wasn't good. He was like a tall, lanky guy, and he was like, and I made it through, but I was like fucking shot. I was stupid for like a month after that. I swear to God, I felt slow. I remember being at home playing a video game, being like, I hope I don't stay like this. I remember being concussed, my jaw. I went to get pizza right after that with my buddy. I couldn't bite down. Like to this day, want to hear something gross? You hear that?
No, but I can see your jaw clicking. Oh shit! Yeah, I can hear that from that fight.
Yeah,
dude. So I have a flash in my eye from getting poked in a fight where it just doesn't go away. No, it's not a floater. It just every once in a while in the corner of my eye, it just goes boop. Oh, and it started after my Luis Kane fight. So
I really for a while after the BJ Penn fight, he gave me a little uppercut in my eye. I'm like, what the fuck? Little flies in here? I had that for a while.
So what about today when you said it's the worst concussion? Because for me today, if you flick my chin today, I'm down for a fucking month. No. Like I have to be really careful. Yeah, man, it's bad. I can't.
Did you ever? I'm not to bring up bad memories, and I know you had.
Yeah,
I remember only your good stuff when you strangling people. I don't remember you losing.
Yeah, no. So I lost. Well, you don't. I don't know if you remember anything because it wasn't that exciting. But
you had good fights, Elliot.
I had okay fights, but either way, now if I get hit, I don't think it's from the fights. It's from training. We trained so stupid, right? Yeah. We sparred hard 3 to 4 times a week, and Shane Carwin, Brendan Schaub, Nate Marquardt, heavy fucking hitters. So I think it's from that where like I'm good as long as I don't get hit. If I get hit, I could be crying in a dark room for a solid month. It sucks.
Believe it or not, dude, that was probably my only concussion. I don't think I was ever concussed. I mean,
I wasn't really either though. I was fine my whole career, Matt. Like it was never bad for me until it ended. And then after my career, years later, it was like, I have to be very careful of like, getting hit in the head.
Man, dude,
really strange.
Well, this is the thing with that. Like I would take pleasure in the sparring, getting a fight ready because I was getting ready mentally and physically for battle. But since I got, my thing was different because my mentality, especially you got to go back to UFC 31 when I fought Shoney.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and I gave you the backstory of how I grew up, like with fighting. So I went from street fighting mentality, like a dog, literally biting someone's fucking whatever. I was like a raw, like little savage. And then I had to forget about that philosophy and then had to adopt the philosophy of don't make it an exchange of the Gracies. It was even though Renzo was more ballsy with it as far as with the Gracies, with standing up. But hey man, don't make it an exchange. Get from point A to point B without getting hit, close the distance, get it down, and total jiu-jitsu methods. Don't exchange at all. Don't make it an exchange. It's not good of you, So I had to get that mentality. So if you see me fighting early on, I would strike just to get a hold of somebody. Even if you know, I watched some of my tough fights, I had that mentality. And I'm like, dude, I would have just fucking laid this. I would have laid into him more. But, you know, I had to almost to fight. And then I had to learn on the job. I was sparring at Longo's on the job, developing my stand-up. So I didn't really believe in my skills. I did it with Caro. I stood up with Caro. But that was more because I couldn't grapple because there was something going on with me with my legs. No excuses. I took the fight. I had a meniscus thing where the up and down I couldn't do. So I was, and it happened like 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before I got the call for the fight. So it's one of those things like, do I take it? Do I not? Let me see. I could run. I could hit. The jiu-jitsu I could do. I can't do feet to floor. So I got fucking winded in that fight. Why did I bring that up? Oh, because I ended up having to just concentrate on my boxing.
Just stand up.
It leveled me up because I did over a couple of months of just hands, just fucking hands. And I was, he was taking me down, Longo was taking me down to Lou Neglia's in Brooklyn, working with different guys that were just boxers. And so even though it cost me in that fight because I got winded and whatnot, it actually elevated my stand-up to the point where when I did get the shot for the title, I became well-rounded enough and I put the time in enough because you got to think 26 to 32, that's 5 years of on the job with the striking. And I got to the point where I could roll with, I knew what was going on. It wasn't just a street fight standing up. And if I didn't evolve like that, I never would have got the title because people thought I was going to fight George the way I used to fight. And I didn't, and then I almost started falling in love with it. Not like, you know what it was, Elliot, towards the end of my career, is I wanted to excite myself. I fought Chris Lytle. I got a decision on him by striking and using jiu-jitsu, trying to grapple him. It wasn't the most exciting fight. By the time I had to fight him again to excite myself, I'm like, yo, how are we going to end this? Let's try to knock him out. Because I just knocked out Trigg. I knocked down Hughes. They say it's a headbutt. It was a right hand. So I knew I had
for sure a right hand.
Oh, 100%.
It was for sure a punch.
Because my head might hit his chin, but I came up top, and I do it all the time in sparring. So it is what it is. But, you know, that's what I knew was kind of time to get out. Like, I'd look at that Lytle fight, I'm like, and I didn't have too many fights like that, where I took some shots. Like, the last Lytle fight was a slugfest, which was almost like a moral victory for myself in my career where I wanted at least one of those. You know what I mean? To go toe-to-toe. And it's stupid. That's not a way to think, though. That's not. Otherwise, I might a few more of those. I might have had chin problems, you know?
Sure.
But, you know, it is
what was it like?
Good.
What was it like for the GSP fight before the GSP fight? Because you got the GSP fight coming off tough, winning tough.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So it wasn't, you didn't, which was, you know, you got it and Travis Lutter got it. He fought Anderson.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting thing there, right? Because it wasn't like you became the #1 contender, you know, going through which, you know, today's top 5 or whatever, because that didn't exist. Right.
Yeah.
So what was it like? You know, the day before you're fighting the greatest welterweight of all time, you know, who's just murdered people since he lost to Matt Hughes. Like no one had come close, I don't think. Right.
No.
And it was in Houston, wasn't it?
It was in Houston, Texas. Yeah. In 2007.
And you were the biggest underdog the UFC had ever seen.
Yes. Yes. And I understand that, you know, because based on the way if you look at the way I was fighting early in my career, like we just discussed, Shoney Carter, Eve Edwards, and all these guys, I would strictly have one strategy: use my jiu-jitsu, strike my way in, get him down, and just threaten with submissions. And you know that was my game plan. And that was how you were going to beat GSP. Everyone thought, right? Well, everybody there was no way you were going to outbox GSP. There's no way you were going to. They thought that's why wouldn't that be my game plan if that's always been my game plan? So with that game plan, dude, I fucking get it. That's a hard day in the office because I look at that fight and I'm like, he's fought in, I'm not going to say better fighters because I pride myself in being a good fighter, but way better wrestlers. Stone Shirk, even Mayhem Miller, fucking Matt Hughes, Frank Trigg. These guys are better straight up wrestlers than me. If they want to do a feet to floor, they'll probably get me down. So I'm like, why do I think I'm going to get in there and get them down and then fucking hold them down? If I do that, I'm going to get exhausted trying. And, you know, chance he could slip, I get on his back. But, you know, it's going to be a rough night in the office. And I can see where people thought that I never really showed besides knocking down Caro that time. Because after that Caro fight, I fought on Tough, and I kind of went back to my old ways of just, I don't want to strike with Pete Spratt anyway, but just boom, go in, take them down, beat them up. And then the fight with Lytle was lackluster. You know what I mean? So why would they think that I would go in there guns blazing trying to fucking work them with my hands and my strikes? It would be a tactic that nobody would ever imagine me doing. You know what I mean? Because he was known as a dynamic striker and the new fighter 2.0 that's fucking well-rounded, has no holes. But me and Longo knew that was the game plan. We knew it going on. And what really gave me a peace of mind and like why I felt very comfortable in the cage that night wasn't that I knew I was going to win, because I really didn't. Listen, there's a reason why I told my wife to stay home, my fiance at the time. The time before, I remember a fight with Jay Haran, who's a good dude, a very good dude, tough fucking guy, great wrestler, very good wrestler. He was a Long Island guy. I remember him getting beat, and his wife at the time, or fiance at the time, for some reason they zoomed into the audience, and they just show her fucking breaking down, and people could tell. I go, what the fuck? I go, honey, sit this. I can't. I knew going in. Not that I was going to win, but I knew it was going to be a him or me situation. I knew, and by doing that, it was very freeing. I'm either going to win hard or die hard, because I'm going after him. And the element of surprise, I think, by the time he realized I was all right, we're standing up, it was already a sparring. It felt like a sparring session that was going my way. I felt it was like right. Longo had these guys throw, and gotta understand, this thing got postponed. So Travis fought before me and we were supposed to fight on the same card, but something happened with George where he couldn't fight. Something happened to him. So it was like 6 months getting ready for this thing with George. And Longo would have the guys look. He's like, he's nice doing his fucking karate kicks, and he was showing me what he was doing with these guys. And I had neighborhood kids, like guys in the gym. There wasn't any, like, I didn't bring in like fucking slayers from all around the fucking nation or country or world. I had neighborhood kids throwing these kicks that George would throw and showing these comments. So, and when it happened during the fight, I swear to God, it felt muscle memory. I was just taking things away, and I was landing on the body. I'm like, fuck, man, another day at Longo's, And then when I landed and I heard him, it brought me back to that Caro fight, which I lost, where when I heard him, I just went ape shit. And I didn't really fucking RoboCop his ass. I didn't fucking Terminator his ass. I didn't focus in on my shots. I didn't line up my shots. I didn't take the half a second to line up my shots. And he got a hold of me and weathered it. With George, I heard him, and then I started to almost go apeshit, and all right, line up. Straight. And then it was as if back in training with Longo, after every training, most of the trainings, all right, get that medicine ball 20 times at the wall. Come on, I'd be whipping that fucking thing. And that's what it felt like. I'd line it up, boom, I heard him, and then I kept lining up, stayed on him, and it worked out fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, did your world champ.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
And that was my Rocky movie. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. That was the GOAT, the best ever. I never claimed to be that guy. I fought guys that were many guys that were claimed to be that guy. People put them in that category, and I took them. If I didn't beat them, I took them bell to bell, and I'm happy enough with that. You know what I mean? So I'm happy enough fighting the best on the planet, and even on my night, besting the best on the planet. So that's good. That's good.
He's the GOAT, bro. He's the welterweight GOAT.
Oh, fuck
George
yeah.
is the welterweight GOAT.
He really is,
Yeah. So
he's a great guy.
So look, your career moved on from there, right? And then this point comes for all of us, every athlete, where it's time to stop.
Yeah.
And what was that like for you?
What happened with me was, one, I had a health scare where I had to get a rib removed, where I got blood clots, where one day I was training. This is when I really made the decision. And is when I was like 37, I believe, or 36. It was after the Lytle fight. And I was training one day, and well, before that, I had like a pain in my side. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? It was like a sharp, once in a while, I'd be like, what the fuck? So I went to like one of those doc in the boxes, you know, those walk-in doctor places. And I go, yo, could you check this out? X-ray. And they did an X-ray. No, don't see anything. You sure you didn't get kicked there? Because they knew I did martial arts. I go, nah, I think I'd know if I got fucking kicked there. But anyway, you don't find blood clots unless it's an ultrasound. I didn't think, why would I think I had a blood clot, you know? So I was training one day, jiu-jitsu, and my arm blew up. I felt something. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what the fuck? And it looked like I had a severe pump. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I felt a little weird off the bat. That was a Wednesday. Friday night, we got fights in Tropicana and 3 hours away in AC. I went, I cornered the guys. By that time, I couldn't touch my collarbone. I'm like, what the fuck, man? This ain't normal. My buddies from the drive from AC to my in-laws is like 3 hours. So the next day we're driving back. I slept 3 hours on the way back. Got there, we ate some pasta with the guys and my family and took a nap. Went back to my house. My wife was pregnant with my youngest. This was 9 years ago, or 10 years ago, because my youngest is 9. She was pregnant. So we went there and we drove back to my house with my kids, put them in bed. It was like 2 a.m. And I go, look, I'm going to the fucking ER. Something's not right, you know? Your body knows when something's not right. It does.
Yeah.
I remember it felt weird. And I would never call, like, I was like driving over to the fucking hospital. And I even called Longo. And I was like, left a message for Longo saying about the things we did. It was kind of morbid because I wasn't feeling right. I was feeling off. So when I got there, I told him the situation. The dude doing the ultrasound on me, some kid, he trained jiu-jitsu. So we were talking. And then he got quiet. And I go, what's up, bro? What'd you find? He goes, and he can't tell me. He legally...
He can't tell you. Right. Not allowed.
Dude, fast forward, you know, they're sticking me with blood thinners. They admit me to the hospital, you know. My pregnant wife gets there crying. I might have to, this is getting me emotional. It was a rough situation, you know. So what happened was, this is what happened, Elliot. My collarbone and my first rib were constricting my arteries. It's called thoracic outlet syndrome. I might have murdered that right there. Thoracic outlet syndrome. But it's when it happens with powerlifters and stuff. It's the way you're wired. So my collarbone and my rib, my first rib, when your ribs go all the way up here, was constricting the blood flow. So I got blood clots. So it was fucking wacky where it was a close call because it started that what happened, that thing I felt in my side was a clot. And then it traveled to the bicep. So it was one in my bicep. The next stop's the heart of the brain. So when I got there, dude, even the hospital staff was fucking, I felt it. Dude, it was wild, you know?
That's a weird feeling. I had that once. I had what's called supraventricular tachycardia, where you're sitting there doing nothing and all of a sudden your heart rate's like 220. But they got to run the test to see if you have it, right? So when I go to the triage nurse, you know, when they check you in, like I'm fucking losing my shit, can't breathe, all this stuff. And I asked her, I was like, hey, am I going to be all right? Am I going to die? And she goes, I don't know. And I was like, yo.
Right? Dude, the nurse.
Yo, fucking lie to me. Fucking lie to me, right? Like
a nice old lady at the nurse that was, she was getting off her shift after. She's like, okay, say a prayer. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
What the fuck?
Well, really,
just lie. If I die, it's over. I won't know. I can't sue you. I can't nothing, right? I'm just dead and gone. Yeah. Don't tell me maybe.
It's not even like about like me that I get when I think about it, like, oh, I was almost dead. I get emotional. But you know, I think about like my pregnant wife showed up, you know, so like she was a mess, you know, but anyway.
As kids, it's your family and kids, right? It's your family and kids that you think about these things with.
So we got out of that. They admitted me. They did an emergency surgery. They blew it out of my arm, which was painful as fuck. I guess it was one of those things where you don't take the medicine quick enough. So then if you don't, you have to catch up to the pain. That sucked.
Oh,
and then I had to get an operation 3 weeks later to get my rib removed. So they cut my rib out, my first rib, you know?
Okay.
So I thought it would be like Marilyn Manson. I was able to suck my own. No, I'm only kidding. It wasn't like that. This is the kid show.
I think that's your bottom rib, man. I think that's your bottom rib.
Is there any benefits to this? No, I'm only kidding. But so they took out my first rib. So that was my health scare. It was a fucking weird thing. And then I remember after that, I didn't officially retire until I heard like people calling me out. I forgot the dude who it was, but I remember not giving a fuck. I was literally taking my kids to the park, and I remember seeing it somewhere, and I'm like, and by me not giving a fuck, I go, that's a problem. I go, that's literally a problem. I go, if somebody called me out, I would think of it like I felt like disrespect. I wanted to get them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't give a fuck. I was going to my kids to the park. I go, I gotta get it. I gotta get out of here. I gotta say it's time. I knew it was time. So
look, there's a couple sports that once you're thinking about getting out, you just got to get out.
Yeah. Like that last line.
I
didn't give a fuck.
Fighting's one of them. You can't do it not in it. You have to be so all in. And I don't like to compare. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead, compare what?
I don't like to compare like football to fighting, right? Because you're playing football and you're not playing fighting, but football's a violent fucking game. And did you see it this week? The Eagles game this weekend. Did you see the Eagles-Niners game this weekend?
Elliot, the one thing I got to tell you, man, I don't watch anything with a fucking ball. And I'm not against anybody that does. People that love it, they love it. I like to hear people's, like my old pizzeria bosses, they loved baseball. And I used to like to hear about what they liked about it. I love people that are passionate about things. But I always felt like a weirdo growing up because I never gave up. My father wasn't into it. And it's like somebody goes to a Super Bowl party, I'm not going. I just don't like it. But tell me why you love it.
I love it because my dad loved it and now my kids love it.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just bonding. It's just how you bond. So but anyway, like so in the game this weekend, there's the first string quarterback, the second string, third, all the way down.
Yeah.
Well, the third string quarterback got hurt right away. They put the fourth string quarterback in on the 49ers. And then he gets hurt in like the third quarter. He's got to go out. And the third string guy has to come back in. But he has, it's called Tommy John's. It's called your UCL story. He can't throw the ball. So they're down like 30 fucking points. And he's just giving the ball to the running back, which is not how you do it, right? You got to throw the ball if you're down a lot. So they can't even play the game. And then this scuffle happens. And after the scuffle, the referee comes on and he's like, and you can see tensions are building, right? Because the 49ers are very frustrated that they didn't feel like they got a chance to play because like their quarterbacks can't play.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so they're like, the referee comes on and is like, add 45 seconds back on the clock. And you're like, yo, dude, they're done. Like they're not trying to even win the game anymore. And it's getting really testy on the field. Don't add 45 seconds back to the clock. This game's fucking over. So it worked out okay. No one else got hurt. But there's sports, fighting, football, where it's very violent and one play can change it all. So fighting, when you're not wanting to do it anymore, when you're like, yeah, that's cool. I guess that guy called me out. That's you. It's time to go.
Oh yeah, I knew that. And I got no.
What was the transition for you like afterwards? Like, how did it feel?
It felt weird, and it's always and fighters, like when you are fighting, and I've been doing it for a long time. You get especially after a victory. It's an amazing feeling. It's almost like a drug addict chasing that first high type thing. It's such an amazing feelse.
If we could package that feeling for anybody, we would. If you could package that feeling up, we'd be billionaires in 10 minutes. Because everyone would do it. Yeah, everyone would do it. But
it's hard to describe. And it's something that you want to feel again and again. And but then you get to a routine of, okay, I got my life and I've always been teaching jiu-jitsu as long as I've been fighting, if not longer. Probably longer. Too. And I enjoy that. That's what I remember when I first started teaching for Renzo. I was doing all night security, fucking midnight to 8 in the morning with a clip-on tie, just so I could sleep a little bit during the day, go to the city at night and that was the Gracie Kukuk before the methadone clinic, and then just go and be in a guard booth all night, the size of a fucking phone booth, and it was miserable. And then Renzo one day said, "Look, get the fuck out of here. You're training like shit because you're tired. Work here for me." So I remember ever since that day, it felt like winning the lottery when I was able to do jiu-jitsu. And I remember these motherfuckers, not even bad guys sometimes, but I would be teaching for Renzo, and this was out of the Kung Fu place before, that's again, pre-methadone, or after. It might have been, who knows? We went there a couple times. And this girl, this Peggy's, it was on the second floor of this, it was a Kung Fu place. I remember these guys that used to come for the lunch class. I used to teach the noon class for Renzo. Hey, this is good for now, but eventually you're gonna have to get a real. When are you gonna get a real? This is good for now. When are you gonna get like a real job though? What are you doing besides this type of thing? And, almost like, and this is after I like even like submitted them and stuff. Like I felt it was like almost like shitting on my life because you couldn't get me on the mat type of thing. I'm like saying, yeah, I'm gonna make this thing work, you motherfuckers. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that even makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the regular
look, it's the same thing for me. My parents hated this shit.
Yeah.
Everyone I knew was like, and I went the education route, right? I have a college degree, right? All that. Everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? And, because I was good at math, I was going to be an actuary. Actuaries make like $350,000 a year, right? So they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, man, I don't want to do that.
Man, you have to, I mean, listen, you could, I'm a big believer. I'm not that guy that thinks that the guy who's winning has the biggest fucking house and has the most money. I think there's a lot of miserable millionaires out there. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, if I had millions, I don't think I would change a damn thing. I really wouldn't. Right now, my wife thinks she's surprised. I've been doing like the 7 a.m. classes a few days a week. I've been teaching those. And I let a guy go recently. I downsized everything. I had 2 schools. Now I have 1 since the pandemic. So much better. So much better. I had a couple of a guy who wanted to do an affiliate thing here. Now I got 1, my Puerto Rican buddies over in Serra, BJJ, Puerto Rico. I have a handshake with them. I go over there, I sip a coconut, show a Kimura. They're good people. I don't think it's bad. It's good times. Sensei Edgar. I feel making things more simple for me, not for everybody. You got 7 schools. But I don't run them, Matt. I don't run them. Oh, you don't run them.
I go to 1 school. I go to 1 school.
That's why I'm saying
my crew.
Listen.
Yeah. Now look, a lot of the other teachers come to me, right, to take my class, of the other schools. But I don't want to do that. I like it. I'm going to 1 school with my crew. And if you want me, you know where I'll be. You know where I'll be. Nice. I'll be here every Tuesday or Thursday. Dude. I'm like you. I don't miss though. I wouldn't do anything different. My wife asks me like, why are you going to work? And I'm like, because I want to.
Dude, I got 100 black. I got people. I can have people teach because what else are you going to do? Like my thing is, this is what I do. Like, this is what the fuck I do. I've been doing it since I'm in my early 20s. So it's like what do you do when you have, and I've seen this recently. I think it was Jordan Peterson. I think he was talking with Joe Rogan. This was a while ago. And he's like, well, what do you, when people think as far as like retirement, like what is your plan for retirement? Oh, on a beach sipping a margarita. He goes, well, how many margaritas are you going to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many days is so? What about the sunburn? Are you going to be hungover after 3 days of drinking margaritas all day? That's not really a plan. Like, you know what I mean? I think I'm a big believer in quality of life. Like right now, my wife's training. My 3 daughters are training. Like, you know what I mean? Like this thing on Friday nights, we're all with there. We all train. I mean, there's a women's class after that. My wife jumps in the co-ed class. My girls are training. We're hanging out afterwards. We order food. You know what I mean? It's so, to me, I almost run it like a mom and pop, and like, it's doing phenomenal. It's just, as long as the government doesn't fuck with us. I mean, like they did back during the pandemic, this is beautiful. I'll just do that. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm a fucking homebody. I like to go to the academy and to my house. And I'm very lucky. Like the gigs I got, as far as UFC Unfiltered, I do exactly what me and you are doing now. I do it with my buddy Jim Norton, comedian Jim Norton. And I've been doing that for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. Jimmy's a fucking, or more longer. We have over 600 episodes. Jimmy's became a very good friend of mine. And that's got a life of its own. We do that twice a week. I used to have to go to Manhattan for it. Now I do it right from my house. Thank God. That pandemic, some shit sucked and some shit out of it worked out. You know what I mean?
Well, and now, the pandemic made our schools better for me. Like we got more organized. Like our ship is fucking tight. So the pandemic, I wouldn't want to do it again. But you got to find the benefits in it. You got to find what's good, right? Like you can't just complain.
Oh, no. So, I think the aftermath of it was better for me and my family. I lost one school, and I would have kept that school because I was used to running 2 schools.
Sure.
Holy fuck, so much better with just 1 school, and I'm saving over 10 G's a month. And you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just, I feel for myself, it's not always about just expanding and taking over. Sometimes it's about having your little paradise, about having something that's yours that you could watch fully. I always felt like I'm favoring a child. I'd go to this place, to that place. Oh, my buddy's got a place in Queens. Oh, let me see him. Dude, I go to my school. I go to my house. And I'm very lucky also that Dana White looking for a fight, which somehow is like a never dies. We're doing another episode in we're doing a St. Patrick's episode in Boston coming up. I love it.
Okay.
Legs. You know what's funny about, you know the show I'm talking about, Elliot?
Yeah, of course. You and Dana and Eves Edwards. Not Eves, Dan Thomas.
God damn. I guess with that, I'm not going to even touch that. I fuck with him all the time. I go to Eves Edwards, Dean Thomas, because there's guys that used to go up to me, hey, Eves, I love your fight. I go, Dean, I'm not saying anything. But listen, I love Dean Thomas. Dean Thomas, they get paid to hang out with Dean and Dana. And me
Matt,
and Dean,
I'm good, man, because I'm a black Jew, bro. My dad's black, my mom's a Jew. My mom's a Jew whose parents survived the Holocaust. I'm fucking good.
You are bullet fucking proof. Hey, listen, I'm neither.
Come get me.
I ain't saying shit.
Come get me.
I'm not gay. They can't. Try. They fucking can't.
Come
look at your family tree. They'll back the fuck off. I'm with you. Yeah. But you know what's funny about that show is that show was originally Dana, and it is what it is, looking for talent, and he was going to bring a different fighter each time. But then I did the pilot episode, and I ended up getting into an argument with some ring announcer, and they loved it so much I became a regular.
There you go.
I like about opportunities, Elliot. You know, so I love that shit. So I can live the rest of my life doing, and I plan on it. If something else comes up, it comes up. But my school, my podcast, I could do maybe some more stuff with that. I'm thinking about doing some YouTube stuff, but who knows? And then, you know, I was always fucking around with thinking about Twitch, but because I do a lot of video games, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm a man child. I love the VR. Holy fuck. I put that fucking thing on. It's so much fun. I'm a bit of a man child, Elliot. I'm sure you don't got time for video games.
I don't have time for video games. No.
Listen, you're an adult. Now this is where I'm gonna lose you. This is where we crash it.
It's all good, Matt. Don't you know? Because I believe in doing your thing.
Oh fuck!
And you did your thing, right? That's the whole point of this podcast, is to show people that you can make your thing happen. Like, look, you were some, you know, punk tough kid from Long Island, right? That got into a fight and then couldn't go in the military. But you somehow figured this out, right? You somehow figured out how to, okay, now I'm going to teach. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to run a business. I'm going to fight. And you're still doing your thing. And everyone can do their thing. Just don't listen to the bullshit that you can't. Like, don't give up. Like what those guys were telling you. The guys on, you know, they're telling you you're going to have to get a real job. Fuck that. Fuck your real job. Do what you love. And if you commit all the way to it, if you commit, if you go all in, not the shallow end of the pool, the deep end of the pool, it's going to work out.
And this is what I also say, and it's not to be, listen, for myself, I didn't have a net. Like, in other words, be smart about things. I remember my biggest thing is I didn't want to be a loser. I wanted to be a success in what I'm doing. And I would even talk to some back then before people were running a lot of jiu-jitsu schools. I would try to talk to some of my karate buddies. And they weren't. Now in hindsight, they weren't great. Oh, you have to do it X, Y, and Z or it'll never work. Right? And I'm just like, I don't want to do it like that. I don't want to fucking have these. It was like a cookie cutter thing for either their karate or their Taekwondo schools. And I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I want to do it my way. But but I know I had to make it work because, like I said before, with my past, I didn't have a net. I didn't have, all right, well, maybe I could fall back on these civil service tests I took or this or that, or I didn't have anything. I had to make this fucking thing work. What I would tell my younger guys, and I do this all the time, and pursue it. Pursue your dreams. But like, even when I didn't have a net, at 20 years old, I was taking $200 a month and I set it up with a mutual fund. And my thinking back then, and I had an apartment, me and Renzo Gracie had an apartment in Woodmere, Long Island. I wasn't making him a lot of money. I was living off private lessons, and I was teaching also at Columbia University, the jiu-jitsu course, which paid like $500 a month. And so it's like, I didn't have a lot of money, but I would put that $200 into a mutual fund and not look at it. Because I'm like, in 20 years, and I keep doing this, if I never accomplish anything else, I just live off private lessons. This is like how I was thinking, like, and just teach, I would have like a retirement thing. That's how I was thinking, but for not
Look, it's right.
Not a brainy kid. That was a smart thing.
Yeah, but that's a smart thing. We have a kid, and we'll have to go, but these guys are getting ready to. My wife's putting a sauna in my house, and I told them they could start at 11. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. My wife's crazy.
And whenever you're ready, bro.
Yeah. No, it's good. So anyway, but we had this Mexican kid, broke-ass Mexican kid who trained with us his whole life, right? Since he was like 7 years old. And then he turned 19, 18. His parents were like, you got to pay for it now. And I was like, look, here's the deal. I don't want your money, but you're going to take the monthly tuition and you're going to put that in a mutual fund every fucking month. And you're going to show me the statement. Okay. So you're 179, whatever it is, it goes in the mutual fund. And in 30 years, you're going to be a fucking millionaire.
Ain't that great? Listen, that's good.
Yeah. You're going to be a millionaire. And but I don't want his money, right? Because we've had him, I don't want it. And he comes from nothing, from absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I was like, just do this. Yeah, I was like, look, if you show me the statement and you didn't put money in, you owe me all of the money. Like, I want your money if you fuck this up. But if you don't fuck it up, you're going to be a millionaire. So
he'll thank you. He'll thank you for that. You know what I mean?
Because 30 years.
You don't want in 30 years he'll thank you. But you don't want these guys that are fighting and these kids that want to do that and everything. It will come to a halt one day. So unless you and the chance that you're going to make fucking millions to sit back on could be. I mean, I'm not being negative because I'm a positive guy.
It's zero.
You gotta just plan. Put like you're saying,
right?
Something like that. It's not. You're not going to miss the money. Pretend it's not there, and it'll be there for when you need it. Or if you're a young kid, you might not want to be a cop, a fireman, a garbage man. Take all the fucking tests. I say that around here, like to my guys. Take all the tests. They don't call for like fucking 4 or 5 years, or 3 to 4 to 5 years. By then, you might be in a different spot. You might want to take that job and retire in 20 years. One of my students, Bam, Frankie Bam Bam, he took I don't know if I want to do a fireman thing and this and that. And he did. Now he's about to retire in a few years. You know what I mean? And that's one of I'm the godfather to his kid. It's a beautiful thing, Elliot. But hey, man, I know you got a sauna getting put in.
They're starting to drill. So Matt, you're the man, bro. Thanks so much for doing it. UFC lightweight champ of the world.
Well,
Serra.
It was welterweight, but I fought at lightweight too.
Was it welterweight?
Yeah, we can edit that shit.
It was GSP. Yeah, welterweight.
GSP. He's not making lightweight unless you cut off one of his legs.
No, he ain't making lightweight.
Hey, if any of your audience wants to listen to UFC Unfiltered with myself and Jimmy Bird, go ahead. UFC Unfiltered. And Elliot, next time you're in Long Island, you hit me up.
I will. I'll come. I think I'm coming. I might come to New York in March. So I'll hit you up.
Stop by, man. We'll get a slice.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right,
guys.
brother.
As always, don't go out in the world and try to be Matt Serra. Matt Serra has his unique power and gift that he gives to the world. Don't go out and try to be me. I got my unique thing that I give. Go out in the world, everyone, and find your own power.
Fuck yeah, Elliot.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you found something useful that you can take and implement into your life. Don't forget to head over to wherever you are listening to this podcast and leave a review. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, go follow me on social media at FireMarshal205 on Instagram. Leave a comment, anything that you would like there. And as always, if you think this would be useful for somebody else that you know for their life, send it their way. That would be greatly appreciated. That's it for this episode, guys. I hope you all have a great day and you go step into that power so that you can give your purpose to the world.